Can you see my screen? Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you once again, and thanks for inviting me today and for sharing your time with me, Andrei. I'm so happy and proud to join this discussion, to be here today on Bloomsday among my fellow Joyceans, and to have an opportunity to speak about my project. My name is Armen Zakharyan. I'm originally from Moscow, but now I'm living in Poland. I'm a graduate of the People's Friendship University of Russia and a Spanish interpreter, but all that I believe is not so important today, because when it comes to James Joyce, I prefer the definition that Sergei Khoruzhy, the author of the first full Russian translation of Ulysses, once gave me. He said, you are a young man that is interested in Joyce. So that's how I like to call myself after that. And today I will be speaking, of course, about Joyce project that I launched earlier this year. I believe it has become a commonplace in recent years to say that we are living in the heyday of television series, from Game of Thrones to Black Mirror, from Young Pope to The Queen's Gambit, etc. But we shall remember, I think, that more than 100 years ago, Ulysses as well started in a serial form when it was first published in the Little Review magazine. Moreover, James Joyce even called his chapters, well, a 19th century author would call them chapters, and James Joyce called them episodes, a word that is nowadays strongly associated with TV shows and series. It is also very symbolic, I believe, that the first Russian translation of Ulysses, the first full publication of Ulysses in 1989, was made as well in a serial form. Therefore, as a great admirer of James Joyce's work, I got an idea a couple of years ago to make a certain number of videos dedicated to Ulysses and to publish them as well in a serial form. Back in 2018, I started to make a YouTube channel about literature. I called it Armen Fedor. Its content, unfortunately, nowadays is only in Russian. But I hope someday maybe I will translate some of the best videos into English or Spanish. However, in 2 years, my channel suddenly became quite popular, somewhat popular, and attracted certain attention, if I may say it like that, in Russian-speaking communities. It got almost 100,000 subscribers, which is not bad for the topic of literature. And at that point, I've launched this Joycean series that I've prepared for almost 2 years. I called this series, and I'm sorry I couldn't come up with something ingenious, the Joyce Project, or Joyce Project in Russian. So my Joyce Project consists of 19 episodes. The first one was published on the 2nd of February on James Joyce's birthday, of course, and I called it episode 0, or Introduction to Ulysses, where I tried basically to answer the simplest questions about Ulysses that a common reader might ask. What is Ulysses? Why is it considered so hard to read? Is Russian translation good enough if you cannot read the original text? And finally, why is it important to read Ulysses after all? What is it about that book that makes it so special? And after that, episode 0, over 18 weeks, from James Joyce's birthday up until today, until Bloomsday 2021, I published every week a video about every single chapter of Ulysses, from Telemachus to Penelope. My proposal to my audience was the following. Every week you read one episode of Ulysses, and every week I publish a video with the analysis of this episode. Therefore, it was, let's say, like a live guidebook. A guidebook that takes you through Ulysses from the first page to the last. One of the basic ideas that I express in the introductory episode and that I tried to follow through the whole series is that Ulysses, vastly speaking, is a book where, quoting Sergei Khoruzhy, the Russian translator of the novel, the inversion of form and content took place. And we can see repeatedly in Ulysses how form becomes content. Therefore, the main difference between my series of videos and many other guides through Ulysses that exist is that I was trying to focus mainly on form, on James Joyce's style, on how he changed as a writer from the early episodes of the book up until the end, how he replaced one technical device with the other, etc. In order to achieve that, first of all, I speak about the style in my videos. I speak about the style of writing, focusing before anything else on how is it written and why in a certain episode Joyce uses certain technique. And second of all, I try to include in my episodes elements of, let's say, maybe not elements, but traces of the same technical devices that James Joyce used in his book. For example, I threw in some newspaper headlines in the 7th episode. Then in the 10th episode, I used interpolation, cutting few parts of my video during the editing process and inserting these parts in different places of the episode. Of course, the 11th episode is all musical, as you can imagine, and in the 13th episode, my narrator's speech, let's say my speech, involves the use of cliché. In the 16th episode, it is spoiled with the clumsy character of Joyce's narrator, and so on. So that is my Joyce project, and that is how it works. And of course, it's too early now to speak about the outcome of this adventure because the very adventure is not over yet. The last episode of our project dedicated to Penelope is being published today. What's more, the premiere of the episode is taking place on my channel right now when I speak here today. However, I can already say that a few thousand people read Ulysses for the first time with our project, and for them, as it was once for us, I believe, it was a life-changing experience. And I'm just so happy that my project could be helpful in that way, and maybe in the future, in some other ways, it will be helpful as well. Thank you so much for your attention. Once again, it's great to be here today, and I want to wish all of you a happy Bloomsday. Thank you.